That was a move. That was a move. That's one of them 4D chess moves that they tell me Trump does all the time. But actually, Jack Smith did a 4D chess move this time. This fun video that Shinsinto sent to me in the Discord. So if you want to be cool like him, go to the Discord, type in a link, and then we'll look at it and feel it together. He sent me this very cool video, and we will watch it and talk about the ramifications.
One member of the Supreme Court's opinion about Donald Trump's claim that he cannot be prosecuted for any crimes committed while he was president of the United States. This opinion is very bad news for Donald Trump and virtually guarantees that Donald Trump will lose his appeal of trial court judge Tanya Chutkan's ruling that presidents of the United States are not above the law and can indeed be charged with crimes that they committed while in office.
So, what is this about? This is about Donald Trump was slow walking, dragging his feet, and his lawyers were playing the slow down game, the gum up game, throwing wrenches into the works of the court to make it slower so that Donald Trump could possibly drag the court case beyond the 2024 election. He would then win and then fire Jack Smith, get rid of the judges, get rid of the charges. And even if the trial did go through, it wouldn't. But even if it did, some of those legal things had to still happen. He would make it fast, he would get it over, and he would make himself not guilty. This is a scam. This is a dictatorial move. This is a very bad move for you, for me, for democracy and freedom. This is a bad thing. What he did was file an appeal. It was going to get shot down. Then he was going to appeal it again. Then it was going to get shot down. He was going to appeal it again. And again, he was going to appeal every single word that Tanya Chutkan has ever spoken. He was going to try and appeal her law license from 1979. He was going to go all in on the slowdown. Jack Smith saw that and immediately fast-tracked it to the Supreme Court, saying he's just going to drag his feet. He's going to make it as long as it can. This is important. This is about the democracy. He's literally running for president. We need to know about this before he's on the election. So he dragged it forward, and the Supreme Court accepted it. And that was a move. That was a move. That's one of them 4D chess moves that they tell me Trump does all the time. But actually, Jack Smith did a 4D chess move this time, and it was literally making things move in the time dimension sooner. So it is actually a fourth dimensional chess move, kind of, because the time dimension is the fourth dimension, right? So he did that. He got it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has accepted it. They have given it a thumbs up, and they are going to move on it soon. And so now that's where we are before we start this video with Lawrence O'Donnell here. MSNBC liberal he is, but we'll listen to him this time because I think he's got a really good point. So he went into investigative mode, which is look at what the justices on the Supreme Court said in the past and make a guesstimate about what they're going to say in the future. So that is what Lawrence O'Donnell has done right here. And we're going to watch him tell us that, and then we'll feel it.
At least one member of the Supreme Court has already agreed in writing with Judge Chutkan's ruling. And what makes this an especially crushing setback to Donald Trump's hopes in the Supreme Court is that the member of the court who fully agrees with Judge Chutkan is one of the three justices appointed by Donald Trump. That means there are likely tonight at least 4 votes against Donald Trump on the Supreme Court, with only one more vote needed to crush the Trump appeal. The breaking news of the night is actually 25 years old. In July 1998, Brett Kavanaugh wrote a 38-page article for the Georgetown Law Journal, complete with 167 footnotes. The title of what is now the most important thing Brett Kavanaugh ever wrote before becoming a Supreme Court justice is The President and the Independent Counsel.
The most important thing you've ever written in your entire career happened 25 years ago, but we didn't know it till just now. That's interesting. Brett Kavanaugh installed into the Supreme Court by Donald Trump. Donald Trump has made inferences in the past suggesting that those are his justices and that they agree with him. He expects them to decide in a way that is favorable to him because he put them there. Donald Trump is a very terrible person. He's got mob boss mentality, and he is right now thinking unless he's seen this video, he's thinking that all of the conservative justices will agree with him because they're conservative. Conservative people will always agree with me, the conservative leader. That is what he thinks. I don't think he's gonna. I think he's probably gonna be wrong, and this suggests that he should be wrong.
Brett Kavanaugh reviewed the history of special prosecutors going back to the administration of President Ulysses S. Grant. On page 3 of the article, Brett Kavanaugh writes, Congress can answer a question that the Constitution does not explicitly address. Is the President of the United States subject to criminal indictment while he serves in office? Congress should establish that the President can be indicted only after he leaves office voluntarily or is impeached by the House of Representatives and convicted and removed by the Senate. Brett Kavanaugh would not advocate that Congress pass an unconstitutional law, and so that sentence alone indicates that Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh believes, quote, the president can be indicted only after he leaves office.
That's the important bit. He did leave voluntarily. Yes, that's fine. KVP, he did leave voluntarily. He did not leave voluntarily. He didn't get kicked out. He didn't get dragged out by the Secret Service forcefully. We were all wondering if he would, but no, he left after, in a very huffy kind of fit, but he left. He is no longer the president. And according to Kavanaugh, the Republican conservative installed by Trump, in his own words, the president can be indicted only after he leaves office and convicted and removed by the Senate. Yeah, he can be indicted for these things that he did while he was the president, according to hard right Republican Brett Kavanaugh. Now, the important bit, there's a little bit more here. Will Kavanaugh continue to say that, or will he change his mind?
Indicted only after he leaves office. Page 16 of Brett Kavanaugh's article
This is a good one, too.
removes all doubt about what Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh actually thinks. Quote, the framers thus appeared to anticipate that a president who commits serious wrongdoing should be impeached by the House and removed from office by the Senate and then prosecuted thereafter. The Constitution itself seems to dictate, in addition, that congressional investigation must take place in lieu of criminal investigation when the president is the subject of investigation, and that criminal prosecution can occur only after the president has left office.
Okay, so that's all very important, but so is this. Very serious topic. We need to take a Bobo break. Hello, Bobo. How are you? Bobo, the baby bark boy. You hear him barking? Barking it up down there. If you ever hear me get interrupted, this is probably why. Bork, bork. What do you think of the Supreme Court? Okay, not a fan. Okay, go. Baby bork break over. Back to the very sad and serious news. Let's continue watching the movie so I can get back on track. The break has thrown me for a loop.
And right there, in writing, Brett Kavanaugh destroys the totality of Donald Trump's appeal to the United States Supreme Court. Brett Kavanaugh destroys the idea that a president cannot be prosecuted after leaving office for crimes committed while in office. And simultaneously, Brett Kavanaugh destroys the absurd Trump lawyer notion that it would be double jeopardy to prosecute Donald Trump now after he faced an impeachment trial in the United States Senate for essentially the same high crimes. I'm going to read these two sentences again because these two sentences prove just how quickly the United States Supreme Court can actually handle this appeal and write a fully authoritative opinion in this appeal, because the Supreme Court's opinion could be written by Brett Kavanaugh and amount to only these two sentences. The framers thus appeared to anticipate that a president who commits serious wrongdoing should be impeached by the House and removed from office by the Senate and then prosecuted thereafter. The Constitution itself seems to dictate, in addition, that congressional investigation must take place in lieu of criminal investigation when the president is the subject of investigation, and that criminal prosecution can occur only after the president has left office. And of course, Brett Kavanaugh's article quotes the Constitution in full support of his position. Article 1, Section 3, Clause 7, quote, "Judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to removal from office and disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States. But the party convicted shall nevertheless be liable and subject to indictment, trial, judgment, and punishment according to law." So
that one right there, that is important. That's literally the Constitution telling us that after Donald Trump leaves office, he can and shall nevertheless be liable and subject to indictment, trial, judgment, and punishment according to the law. So he can and be punished for those things. He can and has been indicted. He is saying to you, he's saying to me, he's saying to the judges, he's saying to the Supreme Court that he cannot be indicted. It says so right there that he can. So over the next, I don't know, I think that on the 20th is when the Trump's very stupid lawyers have to turn in their briefs and stuff like that to the Supreme Court. His very dumb, very bad lawyers are going to put together a trial. They're going to put together an argument that he is immune from indictment. And it says right here in the actual Constitution, right there, you can tell it's the Constitution because it's brown and gold and looks like a scroll, that he is and shall nevertheless be liable and subject to indictment. Their argument is over if they had read the Constitution. So we know the argument's over. They don't know it. They're in denial. That's great. What is the Supreme Court going to say about it? You're jumping right to the end there. Next up, Kavanaugh's going to say, I don't think this applies because of reasons. That's right. This thing that Kavanaugh wrote was in the 90s. You know who was being tried and impeached in the 90s? Bill Clinton. That's who he wrote this about. When he was a young lawyer in the late 90s, he said that Bill Clinton can be removed through impeachment, and afterward he can be tried for crimes. That's a Democrat, though. Is Brett Kavanaugh going to say, no, you can't do that to a Republican? He might. He just might. And I don't think that's a good idea. That Kavanaugh, what do we do at that point? Kavanaugh says, yes, presidents can be removed, then indicted. Only if they're Democrats and I don't like them. Yes, indict Bill Clinton. No to Trump. Yes to Biden. Ooh, fun. That immunity seems to be connected entirely that immunity is only for Republicans. Is there some sort of magical Republican immunity? We'll find out. I'm going to watch, and if it does, I think some shit goes down. If the Supreme Court comes down with 5-4, as usual, in favor of Donald Trump and says that he's immune, we're in a bad state. We are going to be really bad off. This is probably going to happen in January. If they say he's immune, he will absolutely start the Civil War. A government Civil War bad state? Yes, I think so. Because he will be immune. The cases will end. He will go on a tour of the states, and he will just say, I did it. They threw everything they had at me. They couldn't beat me. They couldn't catch me. There was nothing I did. Never did anything wrong, and everything I did was right. And he will lie his ass off about what actually happened at the Supreme Court. His very stupid lawyers will go on Fox News and say that it was all a bunch of crap and a bunch of shit, and none of it was ever real, and Donald Trump is great and wonderful and has never done anything wrong ever in his entire life. And he is immune from all those crimes. He will start committing new crimes. Man, he will start committing crimes on a daily basis. There's not a whole lot of laws involved with campaign financing, but he will break them immediately. He will start taking millions of dollars from anybody who will give it to him so that he can campaign. What are you going to do about it? He's going to use that money, he's going to win, and then he's going to tell you that he is immune from the breaking of those rules. Campaign finance laws are weak already. He will shatter them, and he will spend all... who's going to come after him after he wins? Imagine this. Over the next year, Donald Trump breaks brazenly campaign finance laws. What's going to happen? Especially if he wins. Nothing. Nothing will happen. He will continue to break all the law and all the rules. He will just keep going forever. And then when he's in the presidency, we get the Civil War. He starts doing wild shit, just completely illegal shit. Breaking things, shutting down parts of the government that he shouldn't be shutting down, getting rid of, he'll just like move people out of the Supreme Court. I think he actually would. He would gather the 3 liberal-ish ones that are in there, and he would just get rid of them. Be like, no, you're not wanted here anymore. You're gone. You're done. You're out. What are you going to do if he's committed a crime? Who cares? He's immune. And he's going to know that. And he's going to go buck wild if the Supreme Court comes down on his side in January. And then shit gets into Civil War territory, yeah. And I don't think that's a good thing. Best case scenario, what could go right? The Supreme Court and Brett Kavanaugh all come down together and say, no, you can't be immune. That's insane. It says here right here in the Constitution. We read it, and we are literalists. So, according to my friend Thomas, a literalist reads the Constitution and tells you exactly what it says, and that's exactly what you do. That's what they tell me. I don't believe them. I think they're doing whatever they want. I think they tell you they're a literalist because it's hard to read, and it's lawyer talk from the 1700s. So it's difficult, confusing, and hard to look up, hard to understand. Very similar to the original Bible written in Latin had to be read by a member of the church who knew Latin and told you what it said. What if they're lying? What if they made some shit up? You can't trust them. That was a thing that happened a long time ago. So they said, hey, we would all like to read it and know what's going on. We're sort of in the same situation right now. Our high priests at the moment are the 9 justices in the Supreme Court. They are our high priests. And they are going to tell us in January whether or not Donald Trump is liable or whether or not he is immune to indictments. And he might be. But then they'll say that Joe Biden is not immune. That'll be fun. Oh, hi. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video. The algorithm loves it when you watch it all the way to the end of the video. If you want to keep the algorithm happy, and I know you do, press the subscribe button, press the thumbs up button, leave a comment, tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling, and let's all keep that algorithm happy. Thanks. Have a good day.